Welcome to Rotary in the heart of California. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe, and I'm so excited. Every month I get a chance to have Governor Jay Hislop of the Rotary District 5220. That's the Rotary District in the central part of California here. And it's such an honor. Let me introduce you now to Jay. He's just an extraordinary human being. Jay, welcome. We're thrilled to have you.
Thank you, Devin. I'm happy to be here again. I'm hearing great things about our podcast and really enjoy doing it and really enjoy hearing the reports about it.
Yeah, and we've got a lot to cover today. This is really
Yeah,
exciting stuff. Every almost every day you're out visiting a Rotarian
that's
or a
right.
Rotary club somewhere. There's some cool stuff going on. I wonder if you would tell us about some of the things that you've seen lately.
Yeah, I was down in Merced. I say down because it's south of where I live for the opening day of the a Field of Honor, which is in a grassy field in front of the Merced City College. And there they place over 2,000, 2,500 and counting flags to represent veterans on Veterans Day and throughout the week. The field is attended 24 hours a day by volunteer Rotarians, and to celebrate veterans and first responders in our communities in a way that is very happy. And Veterans Day is not Memorial Day. It's a day to celebrate and recognize veterans, both living and past. So it was a great event, exceptionally well done. Beautiful display of flags and the music from a local marching band and very short and succinct speeches. And then people get to wander among the flags and think about their veterans and friends.
Now, you
So
were in Lathrop too recently, I think.
that's right. Lathrop does a similar thing with flags. They go out in the early morning on national holidays and they place flags in permanent receptacles in the sidewalks around the city of Lathrop. And they are displayed for a few days during the national holiday. So they were out that same week placing flags around Lathrop for American flags to celebrate the Veterans Day holiday. And then they go collect them and roll them up and store them and get them ready for the next time. They go out in the early morning to avoid traffic, and in the dark they have lights on top of their cars to warn oncoming traffic that they're moving slowly, and they have the Interact Club and other volunteers out to help them put the flags out. So yeah, Veterans
It's
Day
so
is a
cool.
big day in the heart of California.
Boy, that is so cool. But uh, there's some really exciting stuff going on right now, and coming up is a really special event. I think on December 11th in San Francisco. Am I right?
That's
Can you
right.
tell us
That's
about
right.
that?
Yeah, it's called Global Goals Local Action, and it is a presidential conference, meaning president of Rotary International. Francesco Arezzo will be coming to San Francisco to celebrate and commemorate the United Nations on their 80th birthday. I'm just going to put this up so you can see it. They the event you can find it at rotaryun80.org. It's open to the public as well as Rotarians on December 11th, and it's going to be a celebration of Rotary's relationship with the United Nations. The United Nations Charter was signed 80 years ago in San Francisco, and Rotary has had a continuous involvement as an advisor to the United Nations since then. It's a one-day summit in the War Memorial Building in San Francisco, and there's going to be about 1,500 people there, community leaders, international partners, and people who want to explore how local collaboration can drive global projects, which is going to be our segue into the next topic. But that's December 11th, rotaryun80.org. If you're interested, come and join us. It's going to be a great event and great speakers. And of course, Rotary International President Francesco Arezzo will be
Yeah.
there.
And I had the chance to connect with Francesco just a couple of weeks back on my show, my other show, and great guy, great human being. So yeah, I would certainly echo your invitation. Uh,
Francesco says he was talking to the Rotary district governors, and he said, "This is not my year. This is not your year. This is our year, as every Rotary year is. It belongs to Rotarians. It doesn't belong to the president or the district governor." So
That,
I've embraced that. This is our year. Next year will still be our year when Pete Herman becomes district governor for a term.
yeah, that's great, great. Now you've had a really special opportunity with Rotary. Not everyone in Rotary has this opportunity, but you have
No.
really done some exciting international travel with, some of the Rotary projects that you've helped to lead, organize, and participate in. Tell us a little bit about what we're seeing on the screen and your experiences in Pakistan.
Well, I've been interested in eradicating polio since my good friend Joe Serra asked me years ago to become involved in it. And I've gone to Nigeria for World Polio Days, to Pakistan for World Polio Days, and to Liberia for World Polio Days. I've also vaccinated children in Mexico and El Salvador. This particular picture was for World Polio Days in Pakistan, and we went for about 14 of us went for 2 weeks, and we went all over the region around Lahore and met with the governor and vaccinated literally hundreds of children in schools and at public events. We went to the zoo in Lahore and set up little kiosks, and families would be wandering by. And if they had small children, we'd ask them if they'd like their children to be vaccinated against polio. And they'd have a little family conference, and then we usually got to vaccinate the children and paint their pinkies purple. So
Right.
that was a group of kids at a clinic in Lahore on October 23rd of 2018.
That's terrific. Well, what a great opportunity to live the Rotary, and they are giving
It
the
just takes
two
two
drops.
drops,
Yeah,
and the kids know what to expect, and they're ready, and they come up, open their mouths, tip their head back, and there's no crying or anything going on. So
that's
uh,
great. That's
really
great.
good. Yeah.
Now,
So
this isn't Pakistan anymore. What are we seeing here?
this is in Nigeria. So in 2016, I went to Nigeria with past Rotary director Brad Howard to visit the West Africa Project Fair, which is a small convention, but very, very lively convention held in different places in West Africa every year. And there I met some individuals in Rotary clubs in and around Port Harcourt. And I met some of the women in this group. This is the Women's Union of Eziyama, and they were, and some of them still are, subsistence farmers. In an era when mechanization is slowly coming to the developing world, there's still a lot of farming that goes on with Bronze Age and Steel Age, I guess you'd call it, hand tools, and it's not very profitable. So we wanted to do a women's center to teach women other vocations that would allow them to not just make a subsistence wage or only have some food to trade for other food, but to actually earn money and to be able to provide for their children. Primarily interested in shelter, food, and then most of these women wanted to educate their kids. So, and since the schools are private, they needed tuition, books, and uniforms to send their kids to school. So we went to, I think the next picture shows us a model project that was done by, this is a different Rotary Club that did a vocational training and skills acquisition center. This is the Transamati Club, and this is the building, a yet incomplete building that they continue to work on the finishes as as the program is underway. They're teaching women vocations here, even as the building is being worked on. So very interesting. We would never get away with that in this country, um, anywhere in California certainly, but the imperative to have the opportunities created in Nigeria means that they will tolerate a building under construction being used as it's being finished. So it's really great. You can move on. Yeah, and just to give you an indication of the courage of our students. They have to climb stairways like this to get to the classrooms. Certainly, this wouldn't fly in California with OSHA or the building codes, but no one falls. They're careful, and they'll make it up these stairs until these stairs are finished and a proper rail is put on, and everybody will probably celebrate that too. And that's the outside of the building. Still just the cinder block, and there might be a single coating of finish, but there'll be more coatings of finish and paint, and it'll eventually be this very beautiful structure. This is a building that then we went on to decide we were going to model that in another area with the Rotary Club of Eziyama Sunrise. And so we decided on the Ama Okwe ETEM. It was Ama Okwe Women's Center, ETEM Women's Center, with the Ama Okwe Women's Union as one of our partners. This building had been under construction for 14 years. Under construction means that the women would buy a pallet of cinder blocks and hire a stonemason or two, and they would build part of a wall. And over the 14 years, they ended up with this 2-story structure with no windows or plumbing or electrical infrastructure. And that's where we came into the picture. Now, Rotary Global Grants cannot build buildings. So we had to find someone to finish the building and figure out how to get that paid for. And Linus Easy, our international partner on this project, on the grant writing and grant delivery, found a contractor in his club who very generously donated the materials and labor to finish this building. And he didn't charge us anything. He didn't report his costs. But we did have an MOU with him, I think in the nature of $50,000, but I don't think it cost 50,000. I think it was much more than that to finish this building. But he did it, and we took a building in this condition, a 14-year-old building still under construction, and that actually needed some repairs because of flooding and moisture damage and things. It didn't have windows yet, right? And this is the finished project with operating women's center, and just beautiful building. And we got it to the finished point because we had to. This is a Rotary Global grant, and our grant writers, myself and Linus, we were committed to seeing this building finished, so that we could tell our grant supervisor at the Rotary Foundation that it would be a finished building. Beautiful building. And there's celebrations. People come and there's ribbon cuttings, and this is a big deal in any part of the world. But if we had a women's vocational center in Stockton, California, or Merced or Madeira, it would be a big deal. It's a bigger deal even in Nigeria, where there aren't so many opportunities. So dancers come, a king will usually appear. We had, there's a king you can see in the black and white with the top hat in a throne-like chair there. They come to celebrate and to, provide their presence and their blessings on the building and the program. And we had some singers from a local school. This is the uniforms that children must wear. They can't go to school unless they're in that school's unique uniform. And these kids came to sing
And you were
and
there to
celebrate.
see all of this, right,
No,
Jay?
I wasn't. The
Oh,
Linus was there. I wish I could have gone, but it's really expensive to get to Nigeria, and I just wasn't able to take the time
yeah.
or the expense of getting there to see the completed project. But Linus sent me these pictures. So yeah, the inside of the building is also beautifully finished with educational hardware and of course software, because we teach everything from tailoring and catering to information technology and computer science, baking, hairdressing. It's just so many things are taught there. Then another project that we did, this is Stanley Echefu, and we remain quite close. He's in the Rotary Club of Transamati. Now, that's the Rotary Club that did the project that we modeled the Ama Okwe project after. But he called me later after we did the Women's Center and said, let's do a water project in a village, Degema, and it's a water sanitation and hygiene project. These are people who live in a village near the Niger River with no source of fresh water other than the river, and no toilets. They go where they can go. And many people use the river. They wade out into the river to do their business. Downstream, someone is taking water out of the river to use for cooking, bathing, washing. As you can surmise, there's a very high incidence of both maternal and infant mortality in along the Niger River where people use it as a water supply. So we decided to do a two-phase project, each phase with a bank of wells and a bank of toilets in two different parts of the village, simply because of the expense and timing of trying to do construction in a village. Over the course of 4 years, we did two global grants. One of them was $110,000 for the first project. The second one, because of inflation and some enhancements to the project, was about 160,000. So between the two projects, roughly
Wow.
$270,000 US dollars of global grant funds from the Rotary Foundation. And Devin, if I may, the other reason the second project became more expensive was we found that the solar power plant on the first project was to work the pumps and pull the water up into a tall tank so that there would be enough head pressure to go through the purification system and also provide good pressure at these valves so people can fill up their containers really quickly and move along. The the problem with the project that we found was people didn't want to use the toilets or go fetch water at night, dark. And it's like any place else in the world where there's no electrical lights. It can be dangerous, especially for women, to walk in the dark at night to fetch water or to go to the bathroom. So, in the second project, we took advantage of our solar power plant and we added lighting to the project. And I'll circle back to that in a second. But this is the celebration of the opening of the pipes to provide, of course, they've been tested before, but this is the ceremonial opening of the pipes to provide clean, fresh water to the people of the village.
So the system includes some water purification as well as
Yes,
delivery from wells,
yes.
right?
It's really clean well water, but there are some minerals that they like to filter out, and there's sediments, and but yeah, the water is potable right out of the earth, but it's further finished and polished, they call it. It's really pure, clean water. And people really aren't used to seeing water like this. Most of the water that you see throughout West Africa, not in the cities, but in the villages, is brown.
Yeah.
It's brown. And you can imagine what's in that brown water. So, a lot of water projects worldwide are to give individual households filters, and very similar to what a backpacker would use. And those are
Sure.
good projects. I like those projects. I think they're worthy. But this is a scale up, and this is where we're trying to take Rotary water projects out of the household and into community centers where we can maintain the projects and make sure the water is pure, it's tested every day, and of course, it's always clean and pure when people are using it.
Yeah. It is great to see that. Great to see that. And how does the ongoing operation of these systems require some maintenance? How is that managed locally so that these don't become artifacts of a past project, but instead remain operational?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Devin. And every project that we do now has a sustainability component. And we have to demonstrate to the Rotary Foundation that this project will be operated and maintained without new funds every year from the Rotary Foundation. So they formed a community organization to actually manage this like a water district. And the villagers are charged. It's very little, but they do have some skin in the game. They can't use this unless they're a paying member of the water system, and it's affordable. We made sure that it's affordable. So, but that small amount of money does provide income to the water district that allows them to hire maintenance workers and inspection workers and keep the project running. So we'll revisit this in another. And by the way, the piece that was completed 2 years ago is still working fine.
Oh,
And
that's great.
and
That's
of course, like like the Women's Center, people come out. There's a parade and a lot of celebrations. The king came, one of many kings probably, and just a really fun time. I'd like to just circle back to this a little bit. I met Linus and this gentleman in the left hand, in the screen left of the picture, in the dark gray and white Boomba with the matching hat, leaning over and talking to his friend. That gentleman and I met in 2018. I'm sorry, in 2016, when uh, when I attended the West Africa Project Fair and made these connections. That's Yinka Babalola, who is a Rotarian and past president of the Transamati Rotary Club, the Rotary Club of Transamati. So this year, sadly, our Rotary International president-elect, Sang-Koo Yoon from South Korea, suddenly was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and passed shortly after the international convention in Calgary. So the Rotary International Board of Directors had to find someone to come up to speed very quickly and take his place as Rotary International President-elect. And that person happens to be my friend Yinka Babalola from the Rotary Club of Transamati, the club that we did the two phases of the water project with. And here we are in Albuquerque a few weeks ago in October at the Rotary Zones 26, 27 Rotary International Zone Institute. And he came to address the Institute and visit with all the different district governor lines. So Yinka came into my class. There's 30 of us in the Big West. And I stood up and said, I just, point of personal privilege, I just want to say that this man, Yinka Babalola, our incoming Rotary president on July 1st, is a friend of mine since 2016. When we met, we were just ordinary Rotarians, and now look, he's Rotary International president-elect, and he immediately stood up and said, "And I'm still just an ordinary Rotarian." And this is the kind of people that become Rotary International presidents. They don't see themselves as celebrities. They see themselves as another Rotarian at work, just stepping up and doing something for the community and for the globe.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. Jay,
So,
you've had.
so
Oh, go
if
ahead.
if I may, I was talking to Yinka about this water project that his club and my club had done. By the way, it was the Rotary Club of North Stockton that I was with when we did these projects. I'm now a member of the Rotary Club of Stockton. But he said, there was some unintended consequences of these water projects. And, you worry when you hear a statement like that because you think, okay, somebody didn't get water where they wanted it. And, now the community's fighting each other or something like that. You have to be very careful with philanthropic projects because they can create conflict where there wasn't conflict before. But that wasn't the case. The case was with the solar power plant that we put on the second unit. It created lighting so that people could use those facilities at night. They could gather water, they could fetch water, and they could use the toilets at night. And they created a plaza with surfaces that are clean and swept and places to sit under the lights. And so the students who hope to go on to high school and college that really didn't have any place that they could study at night because there aren't electric lights in the village come to that plaza in front of the water fetching station and study at night together. They form study clubs and they study at night. We're soon to see electric lights installed and another portion of a power plant for the original center so that students have two places to go at night and everybody has lighting to go fetch their water.
That is so cool. That is so cool. Yeah, it's like all the people that have for a generation loitered near and around places like McDonald's for the Wi-Fi, and,
Yep,
and and they're doing that for the
exactly.
sake of the light. Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. That's so cool. So
Yeah.
cool. Jay, as we wrap up, I wonder if you have any final closing thoughts for members of the district, especially who may be tuned in.
My only thought is that every one of us thinks of ourselves as a member of a Rotary Club, and the community that that provides us, both our community of Rotarians, our fellowship with Rotarians, but also the community from which each Rotary Club emerges. But I hope this little session of Rotary in the Heart of California helps people realize that what we do is not just local. It's also has an international component, from the UN to drinking water in Nigeria to wheelchairs in Mexico and El Salvador and Guatemala and Peru and throughout Central America, even Mongolia now, all coming from this district. And Rotarians can participate in these things. You don't necessarily have to go every year to Nigeria, but it's pretty easy to get to Mexico and do a water project.
Yeah, that is so cool. It really is. I am really proud to be a Rotarian and grateful for the opportunity to visit with you each month, Jay. You know,
Thank you.
you are an inspiration, a genuine leader in our community, and I thank you for the service you render. I recognize the tremendous hours you spend doing this work as a volunteer, I would note. And so I'm grateful to you. The community's grateful to you. We look forward to having you back next month. Every month. I mean, you've got such great things to share. I look forward to learning more next month. I'm sure other members of the Central California community are going to be eager to hear as well, to keep track of all the great stuff you're doing. So thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Devin. And I'll see you next month. I'll
All
see you
righty.
next
Thanks
week,
so
but I'll see
much.
you next month.
All righty.